The feds are trying to at least tighten restrictions on recreational drones after one came way too close to an airplane. Pilots have reported several instances of unmanned aircraft hovering or even flying past them. Now the FAA says the recreational drone operators must contact air traffic control if they plan to fly within 5 miles of an airport. How good of them. Now, only can they not just be dangerous here, but they can also violate privacy. A company out of Seattle apologizing to a woman after she spotted their drone hovering around her window at her apartment. Okay, news is figuring out that, you know, if you want to cover a battle, for example, that's a lot safer than putting videographers and journalists in harm's way. We've talked about commercially people using drones to deliver packages, even door to door, and forgetting all the possible safety that may entail. But do we know where you can and can't use a drone? Law enforcement's been using it already. Certain, PDs use them right now. But if somebody wants to fly a drone in the air, but they're technically over someone's backyard, are they breaking the law? No.
Flying over the backyard, no, because in traditional Fourth Amendment law, we have something called the open fields doctrine. Any plane could go over your backyard and take pictures. Any parachutists can fly above your backyard and take pictures. Now, if they come into the yard, that's another story because you're trespassing. Now, I should say that these are private companies. It's not the government that's doing it, so it's not criminally actionable, except maybe in a trespass state action. But it could be civilly actionable as a trespass if they go in the yard. But just hanging out in the sky and taking pictures, Bill Aaronwald, who sometimes comes on here and flies planes, could snap photos. Probably does it and posts them on Facebook.
All right, we got to keep an eye on Bill. But it's crazy, Doug.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah, it's something completely different. You've seen the world change in our lifetime. I mean, we think of it in a criminal context, but really it's a civil context where you're going to have corporations, companies wanting to see what you're doing, what you're using in your house, and if they go up to your window and peek in and your shades are down, can they do it? I don't know.
Jimmy, I have a vision right now as he's saying that. Doug in a bathrobe with a tinfoil hat, shooting down drones as they're coming overhead.
It'll happen without the tinfoil hat, believe me.
Nobody's going to mess with it. There's no drones in his
No, you don't. You want to crossbar noise. But this is, I'm telling you, you guys don't need free legal from me, but this is going to be a next huge area of the law here in litigation, because you can buy these things for $500-600 and they can go 20 miles an hour and they can go 600 feet in the air in some cases. This is so unregulated, and I don't think people have figured out. I mean, think of the paparazzi, for crying out loud.
Right.
You're going to be able to fly these things, get to every wedding or every, fly up to, outside a window of one of the hospitals in the maternity ward. Right.
Without getting beat up.
It's the RFL drone. That's what I want to know.
It's already in production. All right.
Well, here's the interesting thing. Just one quick thing about that. The Supreme Court last term ruled that, even though a postman could come up and ring your doorbell, the police can't walk a dog up to do that, a drug-sniffing dog to do that, because people wouldn't expect that in their ordinary domestic expectations. Similarly, nobody in their house is going to expect a drone. You invite people into your front yards for reasonable purposes. You don't invite a drone in there, and you don't invite a drug-sniffing dog in there.
But if we think that we don't like Google Earth taking pictures of your backyard, imagine what's coming next with this and this whole idea of our expectations of privacy. All right, I want to get to this next one. Let's go to Illinois, where the parents of a 4th grader who say that their child was bullied every single day, and they complained to authorities here. They're suing the parents of his alleged attackers. A young boy says he was choked, kicked, threatened at school. Parents, they're suing for $50,000 in damages. And it should be noted, the parents at least claim they repeatedly went to the authorities, in this case the school. They went to the parents of the child. They talked that this was an ongoing systemic thing. Jimmy, I remember in school, there was a rash of house parties where the houses were getting destroyed here. And finally the cop said, you know what? Next time this happens, we're arresting the parents here, even if they weren't home, for allowing this to go on. Now, whether they could have actually won the case here or arrested, cuffed and stuffed mom and pop for having a kegger at the house, the point was it had a chilling effect. It didn't happen anymore. To this end, can the parents win? Can you hold other parents responsible for their child's behavior?
Well, you may be able to under certain circumstances, but they're suing the district as well. And what has happened in many of these states is laws have been enacted which impose a duty on the schools to deal with bullying and to not deliberately ignore complaints of bullying. So, and this is something that Doug will speak to, it's created a duty on the district to deal with it, a duty that can now be violated. So I think that the cause of action against the school district, if in fact they were approached 1,000,000 times and did nothing about it, I think that that's a more viable lawsuit than perhaps against the parents. And in these kegger parties, it was about serving liquor to underage kids.
Even
and
if the
allowing them to
parents
party.
weren't there, is it the responsibility that it's their home, or in this particular case,
That's right.
even if you weren't around the child, you're expected to, you raised the child here and you have some culpability? Doug, where does the line start and stop when it comes to parents and their kids? They're sending them to school, this happening on school grounds per se here.
Well, it would be very factual. So if you had a situation where the parents were on notice, you can envision a situation where the parents are told, hey, listen, your kid is very dangerous. You know, he's going to act out. He's going to hurt somebody. You have to take precautions. And then the parents say, I just want my kid to be a normal kid. They send him to school. They don't advise the school. They don't tell it. And then the kid hurts somebody. You could see in a situation like that where the parents could be liable. You could also see in the situation that Jim was talking about where the school is supposed to take action and they just don't. They ignore it. And the school would be liable. So it'd be very fact specific. You know?
I'll tell you just, Mark, from a parental standpoint, if you know as a parent that you could be on the hook for your kid's behavior, so there's some parents out there, hopefully every parent would do the right thing. They'd say, you know, kids won't be kids. This isn't kids being kids, you know, that I wouldn't go that far. But my point is, hopefully, if you got to mandate it sometimes for families to have a little bit more investment in their kids' actions, you know, no kid, if this is true, these allegations, should have to go through what the kid did. And if the kid knows he's going to come home and you know, get it from the parents, he may think twice.
Well, you know, you all are parents here. How difficult it is to control an unruly, rambunctious kid. You could try and try and try, and I say this from my own childhood experiences. My parents cracked the whip, and I was going to do what I want regardless. Not bullying necessarily, but what troubles me more about the story is that they're also suing these teachers in their individual capacities.
Would you have felt the same way? I'm curious if your parents could have been financially on the hook. Would you have curbed your own behavior if you knew that the consequences weren't you going to detention, but your parents, you know, having to put a second mortgage on the house?
It's a question of degree. I mean, there's a certain amount of bullying that's gone on since time immemorial. If I were going to go way beyond the pale with it, yeah, I guess I would have thought so. But to bring it back to the Supreme Court, they've categorically recognized that young people are different. They're immature. Their minds aren't formed. Sometimes you can't deter them, period. But to get back to what I was going to say about it, they're suing the teachers individually also. And there's no dispute in most of these cases that they've tried to do something to stop it. They didn't deliberately ignore it. I mean, what do we need? More disincentives for people to become teachers? It's the most important job there is, and now these people are going to have to think about liability.
I'm with you.
More people
I'm with you on the teacher front. I don't know enough yet. I've heard conflicting as to what the school did or didn't do in terms of intervention, but too often, I think parents always get a pass on this one to say, "Oh, it's the school's job" and whatever else.
Well, that's
you know,
that's
and to me,
it always
if
starts
this was
in the home.
persistent, the parents should
remember your kid has to go to school. It's not the parent's choice, so the kid has to go to school. And some of these parents are laboring with it at home. Some people are problems. They got mental problems. I mean, some of these parents are truly in agony. You know.
Fair enough, but the kid was never disciplined once throughout the course of the year if the allegations proved true. So either the school, family, or somebody didn't do something, and some poor kid was tormented for a year. I got to go to break. Just trust me. When we come back here, I want to have a little fun here. That's why I'm saving some time. You got two different cases about people who made headlines here through, in many ways, their own fault here, putting the thing on video. The question is, are DAs throwing the book at these guys because of their own stupidity and notoriety, or are they being treated the same even if we didn't have this caught from Memorial? We'll be right back.